I've got the Ortur Laser Master 3 in this box. It's time to open it, set it up, and see what it can do. I love making things. I have a Bantam mini mill that's gonna sit right next to the laser. I have several 3D printers. I'm in the process of building a Print NC, which is a fairly large CNC router. So naturally, when they reached out with this laser and wanted to send it to me for review, I jumped at the opportunity and said, yes. This is a diode laser. It's already set up for an air assist, and I was thinking ahead. I've got a little compressor underneath the counter here, which I think is fairly quiet. I've got my air already plumbed with a regulator right here. Now this is actually going to be dual purpose because the Bantam mini mill is also designed for an air assist. So I'm going to use this to add air assist to both of these machines. It's packaged quite nicely. We got multiple sets of instructions. I've watched a few videos on this and it looks like assembly is pretty easy. That must be the tubing for the air assist, so that's cool. Cables, more cables, power supply. It is a 24 volt, 4 amp power supply. That's only 96 watts, so this thing doesn't use a whole lot of power, which is nice. It actually set up a regulator already. It looks like it has a small one, so that's nice. I can actually fine tune it just for the laser once I get that set up. Antenna, because this thing is wireless. The belt for something. That's everything out of the box. Let's see what's first. Now I did see that they have a rotary axis attachment for this that is plug and play, which is pretty cool. I did not get that, hoping that's something I could do in a future video, but there's a switch for it right there. Looks like first we need this, and then we run a cable through one of these. Grabbed the wrong size bolt. I thought it was one of these tiny guys, but clearly not. It is surprising how little hardware there is to put this together. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bolts. Okay, that's one side. That means this has to be the other side. It looks like there's really only one possible way to put this together. Ooh, that feels nice. Let's flip that over the way they show it in the picture. And the last piece, looks like we plug this in here. So I've just got that loosely in place. Somehow I assume we adjust the belt tension. Now this part looks like fun. We got a little hole right there. We have to slip this belt through and over a pulley that's tucked in there. That actually wasn't so bad. All right, that's one loosely in place. And now we got these little tiny set screws that go in from the back here. And that's what's gonna give us our belt tension. There are some teeth right here, and we want to slip the belt into that. There's two little holes right here. We put a screw into one of those. I think that just acts as a stop so that motor can't crash into the front of the machine. That is all of the hardware that came with it. We've got some cables that still need to be hooked up. You'll see this hangs over on my counter. That's okay. Perhaps it'll be a little awkward, but I think it should fit sideways. Time to put on the laser module. They show in the instructions putting this on. It looks like it was already on there for me. Unfortunately, that means I gotta carefully pop it off because I actually do want the air assist on. Oh, easy. So there is the super powerful laser. excited to see what this thing can cut through. That's pretty cool. I actually didn't know how the air assist attachment actually worked, but it's literally flowing right around the laser. That seems like ideal. Ta-da! That slides on there. I know there's a set screw that's supposed to hold that in place. Where does it go? Ah, there it is. Looks like connecting some wires is all that is left. So you have a USB cable. I assume I'm not going to need if we're running off of Wi-Fi. This goes somewhere. Looks like most of the connectors are either labeled or different, so you can't really mix them up. I like that. They don't really show in the instructions how exactly to run the wires. I guess we'll have to figure that out. Thankfully, they've got some nice assembly videos on their YouTube channel, so they showed exactly how to zip tie the cables on. Almost there. I got the zip ties on. This can move freely without anything getting in the way. I think it's all set up and ready to go. Now I just have to figure out how to use it. We're kind of jumping forward a few days, but I have been having fun making things with the laser now. Now I did make a few modifications since the initial setup. Now first off, I had this sideways because that's as long as my workbench was. It was just a little awkward, so I've now changed it and I have mounted it to this board. Now it's not permanently mounted, there's just some 3D printed feet and it lifts right off. And these, I did not design these, I found these online, but these have different pieces you can print out to adjust the height, so you can make this thing as high as you want, which has been really helpful. Ortur does make adjustable legs you can buy for these, so they have kind of a all the way down setting and a little bit higher setting, but I needed a different variety. And the other thing is I just wanted this permanently affixed to something so I can kind of pick up this whole thing and move it somewhere if I ever really want to. The other thing is, as you can see here, I found this design on Etsy. Thankfully, someone had already made this. This is a grid that matches the grid that is on the computer, and specifically the way it is laid out in Lightburn, which is the software I decided to go with. Which, if you need a little more help with the setup and getting this thing running, which I did because it was my first time using a laser like this, Lightburn had a really great video on setting up specifically this laser with their software. So now I've got the laser set up where I want it, facing the right orientation. I've got a grid so it's easy to position parts. I did go ahead and buy this guy as well, so I have something to set parts on if I don't want to put them directly on the wood and risk messing that up, but it is just a piece of plywood, so who cares? It can be easily replaced. Now I have the air assist option set up, and that works great. It was really, really easy to connect everything. The laser even came with a bit of hose to get that connected. You can get much cleaner, better cut, and more precise engraving when you're running that air assist. So what else have I done besides make a grid to make parts? It took a little while to get these settings dialed in on engraving versus cutting. That is one of the reasons I decided to use Lightburn, because you can have multiple layers where one pass is a lighter engrave, a second pass can be a cut or a deeper cut, whereas some of the free software, you kind of had to do multiple runs to do something similar. I wanted something where I could just have a design, throw a piece of wood or plastic in there, and it engraves and cuts all in one operation. I really prefer that. Now, one of the things I do is make 3D printed parts for production of some of my own products, and I wanted to see if I could put my logo on a 3D printed part. So this came out of a Markforged printer. This is their onyx material. It's a mix of nylon and carbon fiber, which is why it gives it this dark black look. There's a little bit of pollen on there because that's just the time of the year. But all of these Area 13 logos on here, those were engraved with this laser. This was me kind of dialing in the settings, and that's how it comes out. And I think that looks pretty good. So a laser can be used for so many different things. You can cut things, you can engrave things, you can mark up production parts, which is what I've done right here. Here's a production ready part that I'm gonna sell. Adding that little logo just makes it so much nicer. This is a motor controller for an electric bicycle. And just for curiosity, you can see normally things like this would have a paper tag on it. Well, how hard would it be to redo something like this, but have it laser engraved? Because tags like this, if they get wet, you know, they can wear off. You stick something on it, it'll peel it off. But if it's etched in, that's not gonna be a problem. So this is a aluminum black anodized. Let's see what happens if we try and put a logo or some text on this. So now that I've used the laser a few times, it is really easy. All you do is move the laser head over your material, put this little kickstand, if you will, down, loosen the screw here. That sets the height. Now we can put that back up. Now our material is at the perfect height for the laser. And now we go over to Lightburn, and this is a little design I was putting on a bicycle stem. Let's just blow it up a little bigger, put it in the middle, and we have our nice grid over there, so it's pretty easy. But what we can do is click home. That's gonna send the laser to the home position first, so it knows where it's at. Don't forget to do that, because I already have, and it goes all over the place, and that's not what you want. So it's doing its home position. Now, what we can do is click the frame button in Lightburn, and the laser is going to do a little pattern here where your image is going to go. So hitting frame. Yeah, and I don't care, this is just a test, but I can see that that's actually going to go on the material. Now let's see what settings we need to engrave on this anodized aluminum. So I just have a lettered outline, and I don't think it's gonna really need that much power. I'm gonna try 600 millimeters per minute and 30% power and see what we get. Oh, that's looking really good already. I actually forgot to turn my air on. Turn my air off. That is awesome. And that's amazing. It's so fast and easy to do. I don't know how I've gone this long being a maker and building things and not having one of these lasers, because it is a lot of fun, and it's so much quicker than everything else. So I've got a 3D printer right here, and these are amazing. If you like making things, you really should have a 3D printer in your garage. But this takes time. You have to design the part, and then you have to wait. Maybe several hours, maybe 30 minutes for something really small, maybe it's overnight for something really big, but it takes some time to see the result of the effort you put in. Now, if I want a really strong part, I've got this Bantam milling machine, which I really like. It's small, it's compact, and I can make some really cool aluminum parts and things that are really strong when I need something custom. But this takes a lot of design work. You have to do not only the 3D part design, but then you have to also do the programming of the tooling paths on top of that, and there's a lot more setup for something like this than there is for 3D printing. So the laser, oddly enough, although it's the last kind of piece of maker type equipment that I have at the moment, I would say is probably the easiest to use. I feel like anybody can learn to use a laser because you're doing 2D profiles on everything. You're only working in a single plane. It's really easy to learn. You can type in text, you can drop in pictures, you can put a PDF document of something in here, and you can make something real. And then as you get a little more advanced with it, you can make three-dimensional parts. Or you can just go online, you can go on Etsy, and you can find downloads for all sorts of three-dimensional projects, whether you want to make some sort of puzzle, a birdhouse, a model airplane. You can literally just go online, buy some plans, slap a piece of wood, plastic, whatever material you want to cut in here, and make something. So if you're considering any one of these types of devices, I would definitely consider a laser as maybe one of the first because of its ease of use. Now, I don't have anything to really compare to other than this tiny little $70 laser that I've had for years, and this is only good for engraving really small wood projects. It can't even engrave on anodized aluminum. I highly doubt this is ever gonna get used much at all now that I have this, but I just have to say that my impressions of the Ortur are very good. Now, they did send me this laser for this review, but I do a lot of product reviews and I always tell it like it is, and I honestly didn't find anything wrong with it. The setup was super easy, using it was super easy. There's lots of parts available for it. They have an extension kit available, so you can make this thing about twice as long if you have bigger projects. If you want to fit like an entire skateboard under here, you can do that. One of the things I'm interested in that they have is a rotary attachment. So already built in right here is a switch and a plug. So you could put a rotary device in the middle here, so you could put cups, tumblers, mugs, baseball bats, anything round, and engrave around it, which is super cool. One of the things I'm gonna be using it for coming up in another video is a battery box. I have these two massive e-bike batteries that need a custom box to contain them. So I'm gonna cut that out of wood. It's gonna be like 1/4 inch thick plywood, which this should be able to do easily in a single pass, no problem. I've got to work on the design a little bit, but I'll make sure to show you guys once it's done. If you want to see more projects with lasers, mini milling machines, or 3D printers, and how to make awesome, cool things in your garage, hit that subscribe button, and I'll be back again soon.